This is Economy Watch, what you need to know about New Zealand's economic life today. Brought to you by interest.co.nz.
Kia ora, and welcome to Friday's Economy Watch, where we follow the economic events and trends that affect New Zealand. I'm David Chaston, and this is the international edition from interest.co.nz. And today we lead with news. Financial markets in the US have the jitters ahead of a key speech by Fed boss Powell tomorrow at the Jackson Hole Central Bank shindig. Equities fell, bond yields rose, and the US dollar firmed. And expectations grew. Powell will make the case for only a gradual pace of rate cuts. Meanwhile, US jobless claims actually fell last weekend by about what was expected. But the seasonally adjusted level rose, and that wasn't expected. And that grabbed the headlines in the absence of any other major economic news. There are now 1.86 million people on these benefits, also a fall. And the flash US PMIs from S&P Market show their factory sector contracting slightly, but their services sector expanding faster. New order levels are a problem for their manufacturing sector. But service sector activity grew at a solid and increased rate in August, and because that sector is far larger than the factory sector, that points to robust GDP growth in excess of 2% annualised in the third quarter, which should help allay near-term recession fears. And the Chicago Fed's National Activity Index for July basically confirmed the manufacturing slowdown. But the Kansas City Fed Factory Survey held on with an improvement in August, showing there are some regions still improving in their manufacturing sector. Also improving were the July existing home sales, which rose modestly at about the expected level, and that ended a 4-month retreat. But despite that, the sales volume levels essentially remain at the low levels they've had since early 2023. And on a broader perspective, sales volumes at this level were first achieved in the mid-1970s and were the levels in the GFC. So July's rise is a very low bar. In Canada and the US, all eyes are on a stoppage in their key rail network due to industrial action. It is a lockout, and it will have many spillover impacts in both countries. In India, their expansion rolls on for both their factory and services sector in an impressive way, with them shrugging off capacity issues in their factory sector with a notable rise in job creation. Growth is creating many more employment opportunities there. In Japan, although it rose, its August factory PMI is still contracting slightly. On the other hand, Japan's service sector is expanding at a good rate. That is the 7th consecutive expansion in their services sector. In China, Reuters is reporting that regulators there will likely impose a 6-month business suspension on a big part of PwC's auditing unit in the mainland as a penalty for its work on troubled property developer Evergrande. In Europe, business activity rose at a faster pace in August, but the rate of new order intake continued to ease. The uptick in business activity is largely due to the Paris Olympics, however, so that probably won't last. In Australia, their August PMIs sort of mirrors Japan, but at a slightly lower level. The factory PMI is up but still contracting. Their services sector PMI is expanding, although only at a modest rate. And global container freight rates slipped another 2% in a continuation of the minor moves down from the extreme July heights, with the basic pressures unresolved. These rates are still almost 3 times higher than pre-pandemic and pre-canal pressure levels. There is still no real sign of a proper normalising. Bulk cargo freight rates eased slightly last week. And the US Treasury 10-year yield is now just on 3.86% and up 8 basis points from this time yesterday. And the price of gold will start today down $27 from yesterday at $2,482 an ounce. And oil prices recovered yesterday's $1.50 drop, now back at $73 a barrel in the US, while the international Brent price is now just under $77 a barrel. And the Kiwi dollar starts today down 30 basis points from yesterday at 61.3 US cents. Against the Aussie, though, we're up 10 basis points at 91.5 Australian cents. Against the euro, we're still at 55.3 euro cents. That all means our trade-weighted index starts today at 69.4 and little changed. And the Bitcoin price starts today at $60,305 and up 0.7% from this time yesterday. Volatility over the past 24 hours has been modest, at just under plus or minus 1.6%. You can find links to the articles mentioned today in our show notes, and you can get more news affecting the economy in New Zealand from interest.co.nz. Kia ora, I'm David Chaston, and we'll do this again on Monday.